newspapers.com, but they're easier to find at drudgereport.com on the left-hand side. Battle for the internet. UN takes over October 1st. FCC commissioner warns Dems are gunning for conservatives. They've said they want the Federal Elections Commission and the Federal Communications Commission to come after alternative independent media, and they name Matt Drudge as the lead elephant. Now Hillary says, get Breitbart, that it has no right to exist. She says, I have a dark heart that need to be dealt with. So we have the Federal Elections Commission. Commissioner warns Dems are gunning for conservative media. So does the head of the FCC. To the FCC head's credit, he's saying, hey, a bunch of my colleagues want to shut down free speech. You better watch out. And now they claim they have the UN and these treaties we've signed where the EU can sue American websites or American individuals. In fact, it's already happening. Cases are being lost in Europe against U.S. companies saying you can't link to someone's website unless they have approval. And Playboy, a so-called American company, has gone to Europe and actually won the suit saying you can't link to our articles. What? That's what gives you the traffic. That's what creates the internet. That's what creates connectivity. No, they want censored channels where you can only go to certain major mega sites. That's always been the plan. The globalists want to turn the internet into a glorified cable box. Isn't that just cute? So it's getting worse and worse and worse by the minute. They're coming for the internet. And the communist Chinese have met with Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, the heads of Google. They've met with everybody. And they've lined up how to censor globally. And the only country saying it's not going to censor that has any real power is Russia. And again, I'm not here trying to just say, oh, look, Russia does the right thing again. Russia does the right thing again, banning GMO crops, saying their national initiative is to promote organics worldwide and to ban glyphosates. I mean, just everything that I would personally do that's common sense, that's pro-human, Russia is doing it. And it's shameful that the so-called land of the free, home of the brave has been infested by every form of totalitarian criminal you can imagine globally, and that we've now been turned into an engine of worldwide tyranny. Let's go ahead and go back to the phone calls. Let's go ahead and talk to George in Connecticut. You're on the air, George.
Hi, Alex. I'm wondering if we could use this earpiece and make a major issue of it and say, is Hillary now the first Manchurian candidate? She's spacing out. Maybe they'll put electrodes in her, do the El Cid routine, and even when she's in comatose, they'll just have her mouth move, and we'll have a speaker speaking out whatever they want, and Mr. Kane will spew out his liberation communist theology as an addendum.
That's a good point. Glenn Kessler, who is a spokesperson for Hillary, says that there was no earpiece. Well, we expect to see more than just that from known liars. I mean, Hillary Clinton is a known liar. What do you think?
Well, I mean, all we have to do is look at her past history. She changes her view whenever the wind changes. So how can she have any truth in her?
Well, I think it's a really good question, and some of the other callers are raising it. What happens if she dies in office? And then we've got this Kane character, but let's go past that. You just mentioned that. I can make a lot of joke videos here about now we know why she's barking like a dog and acting all crazy and doing weird stuff. Because, you know, maybe people are playing jokes on her via the earpiece, telling her to bark like a dog, sit, roll over. But seriously, what type of person has to be told by some shadowy guy with a tranquilizer pen, it's okay, you're okay, keep talking, and then suddenly she looks like she has confidence and everything's okay? I've got to be honest with you. It hit me this morning that it's like she's under mind control. In fact, Hillary acts like someone under MK Ultra mind control. I'm serious. I mean, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. I mean, I truly think she's part of a Manchurian candidate program.
George, stay there, because you raised this, and I was going to raise it. I'm going to come back to you. So stay with us, folks. A lot of other callers, and obviously a bunch of big guests today. Stay with us. By the way, Nico ran in because I said, hey, keep checking. See if somebody's responded from the Hillary camp about the earpiece. This is big news, one of the top stories in the world. Top of DrudgeReport.com, all over the place. An Infowars.com story. Paul Joseph Watson wrote it. And, of course, we've got James Woods, along with many other Americans, pointing out that the WikiLeaks have the actual emails where Uma Abedin, her handler, her groom of the stool, you could say, I mean, stays in the same room with her. That was the position of the groom of the stool and the Queen of England, was they stayed in the same room, helped you get dressed, wiped your butt. I mean, I think it's fair to say in the type of illnesses that Hillary has, that does Uma Abedin wipe her butt? I mean, I'm being serious. Does she change her diapers? Well, we know she brings her the earpiece. So we have the smoking gun, thanks to the investigative skills of James Woods and others. And so now we ask the question, what are our spokespersons saying? And Nico came in and he said, listen, Glenn Kessler is the Washington Post writer responding to Hillary Clinton spokesman John Schwisner. I don't even know how to say it. There's, quote, no earpiece. There was no earpiece. But in a way, the Washington Post is already a mouthpiece of Hillary. That's why they were given the quote. So one mouthpiece told another mouthpiece that then vomited on us, that's Glenn Kessler, the statement of Hillary Clinton without even showing us a photo of why the public is so upset. So even when I'm wrong, I'm right, because these people are minions of Herr Hillary. But going back to George, we know that mind control is a real thing. It's been declassified. Thousands of U.S. school children were kidnapped. So were Canadians, so were British and others. A part of MK Ultra, MK Naomi alone. That was declassified in the 70s. There's a lot of other more advanced projects going on. And if you expand on that, they were able to electroshock them, put them on drugs, and program them to have new identities. Now, that's primitive mind control. They've got microchips that can have total control. They've got drugs, social conditioning. But a lot of times you'll have multiple personalities. And sometimes when the mind control wears off, especially when you get older, you start going into catatonic fits. You start going into other personalities. You start going into psycho joker personalities. You start going into little kid personalities. And that's why you'll see Hillary acting like a little kid with balloons falling, or acting all dizzy and insane like she's having a seizure, or acting all scared and freaked out when somebody asks her a question and a guy jumps up with a tranquilizer pen and says, it's okay, keep talking, and she snaps back into it. Mind control is basically making someone artificially mentally ill so you can then direct and control them, drug them, and then have them take the blame for something. That's the most common. There's many different forms of it. But normal mental illness and psychological collapse also looks like mind control. So she's either on a bunch of drugs, mentally ill, or under mind control. And I think it's pretty much all three of those. I mean, she's surrounded by all these doctors, by all these people. She's clearly on a bunch of different drugs. She's clearly got health problems. So I think it's a cornucopia of those. But now Fox News is reporting, buzz about a bud. Clinton camp denies claim she wore earpiece at forum. So now the responses are coming in as we speak. So they've been forced to respond yet again. But George, seriously, what made you think she acts like she's under mind control?
Well, I had a couple things. I mean, she had that brain surgery. I was thinking they could have put a chip in her head. They've done that with monkeys and various other things to keep them going even when they're ill. And she like some of the things you just mentioned, but also it seems like she's under control, and also her husband has been questioned whether he was under mind control or some sort of MK Ultra situation. There's been various videos on the web, so I was wondering if they put him under, and she's also part of the same programs, why wouldn't they have tried to do something like that for her, especially if she's getting ill? And she may be the first transhumanist person where they may be wiring her up to just be a human robot.
You're right. In fact, she acts like the first bionic woman, but instead of her being like the $6 Million Man in Steve Austin, she's just basically a reanimated corpse, barely kept alive, stumbling around, repeating what she's told. And I hate to say that, but that's what it looks like. Now, this is satirical right now, but here's a video of her coughing up these little green turds or whatever, and I put some audio behind it because these are actually little Martian babies. Here it is.
Our mother is giving birth to this planet will serve us well. Oh, yeah. No, not the Trump. Not him, the enemy. Oh, yeah, Mommy. Yes, yes. The planet is ours. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Hillary with the email scandal with the DNC, how they stole it from Bernie?
Disturbing.
Is that a man taken over by those creatures? I think we're onto something here.
The empire's on the run.
So Donald Trump Jr. retweets Paul Joseph Watson's article, top story on Drudge, now one of the top stories in the country. Fox News, CNN, they're all starting to cover it. But the Washington Post, a mouthpiece of the Clintons, had basically Josh Schwartzman, the official spokesman for Hillary, vomit some green globulets into his mouth and tell us that there was no earpiece. And the reason I'm obsessing on the bizarre green goblets and brown fluid coming out of Hillary's mouth during her coughing fit Monday, one of many coughing fits this week, is that imagine if Vladimir Putin couldn't talk without coughing, was stumbling around, acting like a 5-year-old, looked like he was having seizures, and was vomiting green globulets out. I mean, when he goes on vacation for a week every time they say he's dead. Imagine if Donald Trump was vomiting green globulets out. It would be the top story. Remember the head of the Democratic Party who was running against Obama, and he was actually ahead at first, Howard Dean. But the system didn't want him in there early on, and so he had a corduroid, if I say that right, not corduroy, a cordioid microphone. Cardioid that only works right up against your face. So when the rock band's around you beating on the drums and, you know, the guitars and the amplifiers, you only hear what's right around it. That's how singers are able to be in the middle of a maelstrom of sound, of deafening, eardrum piercing, blood curdling decibels. And you're able to just hear the scream there. Well, if everybody else is screaming around you, but you tune that out and only isolate like the party did to him on TV, him screaming the roar, that destroyed him because the media decided to make it all about how he's a loon. They decided to use that against Howard Dean, and it worked. Vomiting up green globulets and brown fluid in the middle of a hacking attack with her lips all pursed like she was the queen of the slurm from a Futurama episode, spilling out poison to her minions. I mean, this is sensational. So I want to make it into a little GIF if we can. And I think we should start having her vomit out lies as well into the cup with the little slurm creatures. I think this is absolutely essential because this is how you get to the low information voter that doesn't even know what planet they're on. Is something like this. You know, you ask her, has she been invaded by parasites like in the movie The Creeps? Does she have brain parasites that cats can give you? She could be vomiting up actually an amoeba infection out of her sinus that's draining and that she's vomiting out poisonous amoebas. Now, it doesn't matter that that's not true. This is what the low information people want. Let's give them what they want. Let's give them the fact that Hillary is actually a space alien filled with giant amoebas and that they're now gestating and that she's now giving birth to them. I'm going to go back to your calls, but I played this satire piece that we shot last night before our live coverage of the forum. And by the way, hundreds of thousands of people tune in on YouTube alone, hundreds of thousands here, hundreds of thousands on TV stations. I would say millions, counting radio stations that picked it up last night. We had 2 hours of coverage, you know, the 1 hour of the event, an hour after that. Some people complained and said they talked over 90% of it. That's how we're able to carry it. We started this 4 years ago in the last election. People checked it legally. So now the Young Turks and Glenn Beck and everybody else copy us, which is fine. Because we take State of the Unions, we take debates that are media events, and then we analyze the media and analyze the propaganda, which is our fair use free speech right. We couldn't do this with a football game or a boxing match because that's entertainment. But when it's public forum and something like this, especially if NBC has taken taxpayer money, which they have, I've checked with lawyers, they can't stop us. I mean, they could try to, but the point is that we're analyzing their globalist enemy transmission BS in real time. And I saw a few complaints going, man, all you do is read, the transcript that's live on screen, the closed captioning, and we can't hear what they're saying. If you want that, you tune in to MSNBC. If you're like me, you have a computer on with our feed, and then I have the TV on with MSNBC, and I just tuned up and down, back and forth. See, I want different selections, we change things, we trailblaze, we do new things. I'm not saying I have all the answers, just we do new things. And so that's what we do there. I know in the troll community, it's fun to bitch about everything, but the point is, we came up here and did a live analysis. I think the crew did a great job. We get better each time of breaking down the lies in real time. So we're kind of like the truth casting. They have the closed captioning and they have the globalist disinfo casting with Hillary. We're there to give the people's live breakdown of collaborator, enemy, globalist media with Matt Lauer of the Clinton Foundation hosting it. I have no respect for these debates because they're not real debates. They're always geared against the populist candidate. And so that's why we're doing this to great effect. But before I go any further and back to your phone calls and a bunch of clips and a ton of news I haven't hit yet, let's play my little satire piece that's powerful on radio, but more powerful on TV. So if you're a radio listener, go to Infowars.com/show, and you'll be able to actually see what I'm talking about when we show the Exorcist clip and the Kim Jong-il clip and the Creeps clip, because these are all movies where someone is possessed by something on the inside and green slime and cockroaches come out. And so archetypally, Hillary vomiting up what looks like green turds. I mean, they're not lozenges. I don't know what they are. I don't know how she was talking with big lozenges in the back of her throat before. I mean, this woman is a wreck. And the point is, she looks like hell. She has low energy. She's a tyrant. She says she wants to shut down the independent New Free Press. They're openly coming after all of us. And so, if the general public wants to get down in the green slime and the green muck here, I'm telling the Liberty Movement, if we take this little clip of her vomiting these globulates out and cut to her looking at the cameras having a hallucination, and cut to her looking at the balloons like a loon, and cut to her looking like the Joker, cackling like a hyena, and just mix all that together, this is the essence of this goblin creature. If I went to have coffee, say, once a week with a friend, and they started acting and looking like Hillary Clinton, I'd say they were demon-possessed, and I wouldn't get around her. So Drudge has a poll going right now. We can put it on screen. Did Hillary have an earpiece, or did she not have an earpiece? And the votes just started on his Twitter feed. So wearing an earpiece or not wearing an earpiece? I say wearing an earpiece. So let's do Alex Jones's vote right now here on TV. But that part doesn't even matter. What we know is this woman is propped up by a facade, and WikiLeaks and all the evidence absolutely shows that in a big, big way. But here is my satire piece. Ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton's health. Yeah, she was in the hospital for a year having brain surgeries, and she can hardly walk and is always falling down. It looks like she's having seizures. And yeah, WikiLeaks admits that she was trying to get Parkinson's medication. But let's forget all that. The fact is, she's out there giving speeches every day and has to cancel them, having these coughing fits that are associated with different arrhythmias and heart problems. But listen, it doesn't matter to me. She proved just a few days ago in Cleveland that she is incredibly healthy. When, well, what goes in must come out, like out of the movie Creeps. It goes in your mouth, it comes out of your mouth. Inside you.
They get in through your mouth, and you walk around while they incubate.
It was like Linda Blair in The Exorcist spewing green pea vomit on the priest. Or maybe it was more like a film made a little bit later, just a few years ago, Team America. When Kim Jong-il is finally killed, we learned he was just a puppet.
Wait a minute.
of a cockroach creature. Uma Abedin climbs out of his mouth.
You have not heard the wrath of Kim Jong-il. I will return. You shall see. I will be back. So wrong our brings.
We'll be here waiting for you, Kim Jong-il.
For a more advanced species that actually escaped to the stars. So whatever's happening now, clearly Hillary has entered that genre of the creeps, or Team America, or yes, The Exorcist, because when it comes to overthrowing countries and killing hundreds of thousands of Christians, Linda Blair ain't got jack crap on Hillary Rodham Clinton. I'm Alex Jones for Infowars.com.
Our mother is giving birth to this platypus as well. Oh, yeah. No, not
Hillary
the
giving
Trump.
birth, little babies.
Not him, the enemy. Oh, yeah, mommy.
That's inside Hillary Clinton's bedroom with Uma Abedin. Uma overseeing the operation.
Yes.
She's giving birth.
The planet is ours. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Hillary with the email scandal with the DNC, how they stole it from Bernie?
Disturbing.
That's a Hillary supporter right there. All right, that video is satirical, obviously, just so media matters, everybody knows. We don't believe Hillary's actually vomiting up little green space aliens. But you will say we said that. And then folks will come visit InfoWars and find out we never said that. And then you'll be discredited further. Oh, and just like you said, there's no pickle pop when you open a can of pickles or a jar of pickles. And then, of course, when Wolf Blitzer went on TV to open the canister, it popped. And they went, okay, it did pop. Okay, Hillary's full of bull. Who opened the pickle jar for? The point was you acted like she was Samson. You acted like that, you know, she was the archetypal Greek god of strength and honor, I guess the demigod, the half-god Hercules and his 7 feats, his 12 wonders. Hillary Clinton will now take on the top UFC fighter, heavyweight champion, and win. Hillary doesn't have earpieces. Hillary can open all the pickle jars, even though she rarely gives press conferences and is rarely seen and has to stumble around while having seizures. Before I go any further, we need to fund this operation, and we sell the highest quality non-GMO heirloom open pollinated seeds. Everybody should have seeds. Everybody going into this global depression, in my view, should be prepared. We have 20% off on Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. We have massive discounts of 30 to 40% off. Biggest discounts we're ever able to offer on high-quality storable foods at InfoWarsStore.com. These are the freshest, highest quality at the lowest prices you're going to find. And by that, we do a nexus with high quality, low price. You can obviously find even more gourmet, delicious stuff out there that costs 3, 4, 5 times. But this is what I've chosen for my family. They've been around 8 years, and they're already one of the top 3 companies out of hundreds because of their service. It's My Patriot Supply. We carry their entire spectrum of food. It's drop shipped from them. Their entire line is on InfoWarsStore.com. Right next to InfoWars Select, that is the exact same food, same packaging, but I'm able to get lower prices because I did a private labeling deal with them. And how did that happen? I said, I want to be competitive. I want to dominate the market. I need to get a lot of money to fund our operation. I need to get people prepared with high-quality food. If they've been a sponsor for 3 years. I said, I'm walking, because there's a couple other good companies out there, not as good as you, but close. I'm walking if I can't get an even lower price. And that's just what I do. And they said, okay, we can get around the contracts with private labeling. Bada beam, bada boom. You will find the lowest price on InfoWars Select, even lower than My Patriot, up to 10% on average. They have some specials sometimes too, with InfoWars Select, their entire spectrum. But when I'm able to do these specials of 30 to 40% off, no one can get even close. This is the best deal in the industry. And with all the insanity and all the inflation and all the craziness, let's hope we never need this food. Let's hope we're wrong, or we expose this and people wake up. It never happens. This is insurance. You don't lose. You can eat. Total win. Undoubtedly, food prices have been going up for years. They're going to go up higher. So you freeze the cost now and into the future can do amazing things. Because a lot of this stuff is, I want to call it gourmet. A lot of it's near gourmet. I mean, some of it really is incredibly delicious. A lot of it's just basic stuff. It's a wide spectrum. They have a lot of specialty deals as well. And they have some more expensive, more gourmet lines. But all of it's available at InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsLife.com is the subsection where you get all the nutraceuticals, all the different supplements. Folks, if you're not taking BioTrue selenium, that's key in electrochemical activity, you're insane. If you're not taking Brain Force, you're crazy. If you're not taking Super Male Vitality, I think you're nuts. If you're not taking Secret 12, these are all game changers. Game changers. DNA Force is totally insane what it does for the price. Other competitors that have similar formulas are $500 to $600. They are raping you with 7-fold markups. We bring you nutraceutical stuff that most people get from a doctor. Because people won't buy this at a vitamin store at the cost. So doctors sell it. Because people go, oh, it's a doctor. It must be worth it. Just the Bio PQQ in this bottle cost us $40. Now, we've got products that are $9.95 that are super high quality. But with DNA Force, you're talking about a product for $134 that's got $70, $80 worth of product in it. Yeah, there's 100% markup there, too. Not a 7-fold. Bio PQQ, the real, true, absorbable biotype from biology, not chemical, not synthetic. The Japanese own it, folks. We buy it from Mitsubishi America. This stuff is nutraceutical. That's only one ingredient in this baby. This is the flagship DNA Force. InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Deep research, patented ingredients, difficult to source. This is one of our products that that has hundreds and hundreds of certified studies. This is one of the only products where even the FDA lets you make claims, but we don't do it. Go research BioPQQ for yourself. And while the Japanese for 25 years worship it. Okay? Because it is the real deal. Bio, I noticed that I was over at one of my cousin's houses that's really into health and nutraceuticals, and I noticed they had a $55 bottle of Bio PQQ, but it wasn't Bio PQQ, it was PQQ, and it was a synthetic type that I happen to know cost that company $5 to put in that bottle. And you just don't absorb it. Your cells don't know what it is. Understand that. That's the type of stuff they do. $50-something a bottle for just one ingredient we've got in this in DNA Force. I'm gonna come back to your calls. Sorry. Dinesh is coming up in a couple segments from now. I'm going to go right back to your phone calls here in a moment. Scottish John and Rick in Canada and Ray in Illinois and Joe in Illinois and Brandon in California. I'm going to try to bam, get to everybody quick. Briefly, though, I mentioned this, but just look at this headline out of the Hill. Clinton campaign warns media to tread carefully when talking about her health. And then we see all these reporters getting fired for bringing it up, like Dr. Drew. This is how the mafia operates. This is outrageous. So I love making fun of Hillary Clinton. It's my right as an American. My ancestors fought so I wouldn't live in North Korea. So I wouldn't live in a country overrun by thugs. And whatever's wrong with Hillary Clinton, her expiration date is up. I don't wish any harm against her. I'm just pointing out that I told you, I mean, Donald Trump rushes into a goblin's nest. He's battling goblins. He may get some goblin guts, goblin blood on him, metaphorically. But as long as we don't catch him kissing a goblin, and then the goblins vomit, and then we catch him in bed with a goblin, as long as we don't have problems like that, there's not an issue. And the media then writes articles that I actually believe Hillary's a goblin and that Trump's battling goblins and I'm insane. No, it's called an allegory. It's called satire. And that's why we're the king of the memes on the internet now, because folks have fun with this. We got to have fun with this. Now she's vomiting goblin babies out of her. I mean, you know, at a certain point, there's got to be a South Park episode about What is secretly living inside Hillary Clinton? Let's go ahead and take a call here. Let's go ahead and talk to Joe in Illinois. Joe in Illinois, you're on the air.
Yeah, thank you. Your crew for all the info that you give us. I think the InfoWars are, of course, heaven sent. But anyways, what I was saying is, why wasn't Hillary's stance on bringing thousands of refugees to the United States to the forefront on that commander-in-chief forum? Because to me, I think that's the most dangerous threat to our national security that jeopardizes the American safety, the lives, the sovereignty.
No, I agree. What are we bringing unvetted refugees here? Because they'll attack Trump for saying no to that. His people then believe, oh, he's really weak on that. No, Hillary attacks him on whatever he's strong on, hoping he quits doing it because it's so damning. That's why Media Matters takes what we cover and do and acts like it's so discrediting, hoping Republicans look at that and go, oh, look, they told us not to do what Alex Jones is saying, because they care about us. No, they don't want you getting the weapon systems in the information war that are so devastating. Thank you for the call, Joe. Scottish John in Texas in the ATX. You're on the air, Scottish John.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Worldwide broadcast. Just here battling the New World Order. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, mate. Listen, before I get to the point I called in about, let me tell you right quick. I went down to San Antonio 2 weeks ago to sit my citizenship test, and a big security guard escorted me out of the building. Do you think it was a mistake for me to wear my Hillary for Prison T-shirt?
Wow, so you went down to do what? I didn't get the whole story.
To take my citizenship test.
Okay, so you went out to take your citizenship test, and then you weren't allowed in the building with a Hillary for Prison shirt. Wow, they violated your free speech? That would have been a big story if you got it on video.
I was joking about the T-shirt. I would love to have done it, but I don't think it would have been a wise thing to do. Do you?
Oh, I think when we're in a major global crisis and everything's melting down, the wise thing to do is the desperate move. And I don't think it's even desperate to wear a T-shirt. We need to get really aggressive and hardcore. Scottish John, go ahead.
Listen, you had a guest on last week. You introduced him as Margaret Thatcher's top scientific advisor, and you said, look him up. Well, I'd already looked this guy up, Alex, and if I can go back just over 2 years ago, you were kind enough to have me in as a guest talking about the Scottish referendum. Now,
yeah, we'll talk about it when we come back, Scottish John. We're back in 70 seconds. Stay with us. Gary Johnson is getting fawning media coverage, the likes of which no libertarian candidate has ever gotten, because he's got a horrible anti-gun, pro-globalist TPP platform, and he will help get Hillary elected. He's basically only taking votes, in my view, away from Donald Trump. But getting back to Scottish John, talking about, I've known him at gun rallies for 20 years, lives here in Austin. He's now down there taking a citizenship test. That's great to hear. Scottish John, you were getting into the situation with the Scottish referendum. Go ahead.
Well, it's about His Lordship's claims as being Thatcher's top scientific advisor about climate change. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, Alex, is because he was very disingenuous to me personally. The following week, he was a guest on your show. Now, if you remember, you had some illness in your family with a couple of your relatives, and Rob Dew hosted the show. Now, the first words out of His Lordship's mouth were, some numpty called Scottish John says, if you vote yes to Scottish independence, this will mean there will be no such thing as a new world order. Well, I never said any such thing.
Okay, well, listen, I don't want to make this personal, okay, and always getting into old news and what Lord Monckton said or didn't say. Lord Monckton's a leading fighter against global carbon taxes and the rest of it. I actually saw the clip you're talking about. He was just hearing the caller or a clip he'd heard and pointing out that it was an important referendum against the globalists. But, I mean, my mistake here is this. I don't screen phone calls, and sometimes it makes it really interesting. But other times, everybody's got these weird little agendas about stuff years ago and a Scottish referendum that failed to leave the UK, and then just, bones to pick with somebody else. And the last time you called in, and you're a nice guy, I've known you for 20 years on the street, it turned into a bunch of other side stuff. I just can't do it, okay? So from here on out, I always noticed we had better callers at night. I used to have a nighttime radio show. We have a lot of great callers. It's not saying you're all bad. But during the day, a lot of folks are off work, they're taking off, they're drinking a six-pack of beer, They're kind of calling in about whatever they want. And then I just say, oh, it's open phones, whatever you want to cover. And it's just stuff that I can't even hardly understand what you're talking about. And if I, the host, that am informed and involved and really listening to you, can't understand you, it must sound like garbled Martian to our listeners across the country and the world. Tens of millions of people listening that don't even live here in the United States. So I'm done. In fact, from this point forward, I'm going to do topic-based calls where I only open the phones up on one topic like everybody else does. From this day forward, September 8th, 2016, I am finale done. I cannot handle it. I cannot deal with it. Because we have some great callers calling today, but we had some other ones, man, where it is just over the top. It is over the top. Now, I bet Rick's a great caller. Let's talk about hack DNC and the Russians. I want to go to him. We'll see what happens. Rick, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good day, Alex. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
Who blew up the Reichstag?
I thought you were talking about hack DNC and the Russians. Who blew up the Reichstag? The Nazis, most evidence shows, burned up their Capitol building in February 27th, 1933 to basically declare civil emergency, start arresting their political opposition, and make Adolf Hitler a dictator.
So it proves that they never do anything for a one-of. So who hacked the DNC?
Well, a lot of different people have gotten into the DNC, but what matters is they're not denying the documents are real, and it's hurting them.
Oh, I know, but what they're going to try to do is, now it justifies them saying that it was the Russians.
I didn't understand that last point.
Well, now they're going to try to say that.
Well, they've been saying it's the Russians over and over again, so yeah. And Hillary's vomiting up green balls, and yeah, but no, I hear you, Rick. All right, we'll be back with Dinesh D'Souza, political prisoner. Straight ahead, I'm Alex Jones. Now, I've been interviewing Dinesh D'Souza off and on for about 10 years. I remember growing up being a fan of Ronald Reagan and, seeing Dinesh D'Souza eloquently break down free market capitalism and the true Americana system on, like, Lair NewsHour. And so it's surreal to, have him on with us today and to know that he's a political prisoner, has been a political prisoner. And I've seen people like the Young Turks attack him savagely, saying you have no right to criticize Hillary and her foundation and her servers and her lies because you were in prison for 9 months. Well, that's a badge of honor. It's like being locked up in the Soviet Union, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, because he got a few of his friends to donate money to his college roommate who unsuccessfully ran for the Senate. I mean, that's nothing. Foreign dictators giving Hillary money. She's represented the Chinese Communist president, the emails now show. I mean, that is espionage. That is high treason, folks. That is the death penalty. And I'm not calling for the execution of Hillary or turn her into a martyr. And I think God's cursing her right now. Look at her physically. But it really is surreal that she thinks she's too big to fail. And that she's connected to so many other people that are corrupt in government, both parties, that she thinks she's Teflon. All this has done, I think, is really discredit the entire government, the FBI, you name it. You have to roll her oranges instead of press conferences, and then she writes on them. I mean, it gets weirder and weirder. And then I was like, wow, we had Dinesh D'Souza on a few weeks ago. Why is he on today? Because I didn't ask for him to be on. I'm glad he's here. And he said, no, he wanted to come on to basically talk about Hillary attacking you and misrepresenting what you said because of the danger of it. So I'm glad he's here to give us this breakdown as someone who is a hero. I mean, not so much as a, speeding ticket until they throw him in jail because he had the second highest grossing documentary film in history and now has another one of the top 5 in history. And I love when he's on national news or on the Young Turks or other, they look and they go, nobody watches your films. You're nobody. You're nobody. You don't have a bunch of New York Times best-selling books. You aren't a success story for an immigrant that came here and ended up, heading up a whole agency for Reagan. No, you're a no. I love how they always tell me I'm a nobody, too. We don't reach 28, 30 million people a week. We're not exploding. We don't have the top story on Drudge right now. We don't. No. We're nobodies. But they do come after people. And they're now announcing they're going to go after the internet. Matt Drudge, they list Breitbart as not having a right to exist in an official Democratic Party Hillary Clinton signed newsletter. They have the head of the Federal Elections Commission that persecuted this man. That was the agency itself, not the head of it, saying, look out, they're coming after conservatives. They're coming after the media. Same thing as Supreme Court Justice told Matt Drudge a year ago that he came here to warn us about. So the point I'm getting at here is setting the table, is that we are entering a totalitarian system. They are desperate, but we don't have to be scared of them taking over if we take action. I believe they're hardening. They're taking the velvet glove off the iron fist is a sign of weakness. Now, I've not been around as long as Dinesh D'Souza, and I haven't, seen it from every level. So maybe he's going to correct me if I'm wrong, because I really respect him. But this is a critical time in U.S. history. I mean, do you think that breakdown, sir, in the last 3 minutes was accurate, or what can you add about how serious the stakes are and how dangerous the climate is in the media, how sycophantic they are right now?
I think that we are reaching a point in which political gangsterism is becoming normalized in this country. I haven't seen this in America in 30 years. I mean, whatever you thought about Jimmy Carter, I think the whole country came to the correct conclusion that he was a nincompoop. But no one thought that he was trying to be America's Al Capone. We saw a kind of gangsterism with Obama, because here's a guy whose goals are ideological, but who's willing to bend the law when he sees fit. He'll twist the immigration law. He'll selectively enforce Obamacare. He'll ignore the Defense of Marriage Act. He doesn't like the work provisions of welfare reform, so he ignores and sidesteps those. But with Hillary, with the Clintons, you're talking about gangsterism taken to a new level. These are people who operate in a mafia mode. They put American foreign policy up for sale. They've set up this sort of transaction. It's almost a kind of systematic system. Step one is that Bill Clinton goes out to a potential donor. They pay him 5 times his normal fee, $750,000 to speak 15 minutes of pure rubbish. It's obviously not for the speech. It's a down payment, a kind of a bribe for Hillary to give up or change her position on some critical element of foreign policy. And so then she does it. She does what the donor wants. And then millions of dollars, this is step 3, flow into the Clinton Foundation. And this happens again and again and again and again. Now, the press knows about this. They have seen the documentation. They know about it. But they very much want Hillary in the White House, and so they are ignoring it. They're not focusing on it. If this had been Trump, they'd be covering it every single day, and the outcry about it would be deafening.
Now, again, I'm honored to have you, and it's usually even hard to get you on the show because you're such a hardworking guy making films, writing books, traveling the country. But specifically, you told the producer, I'd like to come on specifically about Hillary attacking the alt-right and Alex, because this is serious. So I'd like to get your inside view as someone who is a true American former political prisoner, kind of like our Alexander Solzhenitsyn, on what you would basically advise us to do at this point.
Well, first of all, I think that this whole business about the fact that Trump is trying to reinvent conservatism, I think is complete nonsense. Trump is not trying to reinvent conservatism. I mean, I'm about as mainstream a conservative as they come. I was an acolyte of Bill Buckley in my Dartmouth days. I then worked in the Reagan White House. I've been at the major think tanks like the American Enterprise Institute, the Hoover Institution at Stanford. So I don't know how you get more mainstream in the conservative movement. Now, I'm a patriot. Trump is a patriot. He may call himself a nationalist, but it's a slender difference. I believe in technological free market capitalism. So does Trump. He's made his money the old-fashioned way. He built buildings. He earned it. Now, I may disagree with Trump on some minor issues, but I think what Trump is really trying to do is not remake conservatism so much as he's trying to remake the Republican Party. Now, the Republican Party is not even among its friends as the stupid party. These are people who are unbelievably good at losing elections. They are surrounded and encrusted by opportunistic consultants who cash in on all the money. For them, politics is a business. So
they're taking a fall for the Democrats.
In some ways, they're in bed with the Democrats. I don't want to blur the distinctions too much because the Democrats are the party of sort of exploitation and theft, and the Republicans historically have been the party of.
Sure, they're the leading edge, basically pimped and controlled. The Republicans are more like the minions.
Well, Republicans have, in a sense, to the Democrats. Look at the way, I mean, we have three branches of government. True, the Democrats control one, the presidency, but we control the other, which is the Congress. Now, you would think that the Congress, which is actually the most powerful arm of the government, because it is the legislature, right? In a democracy, the people who make the laws are the most powerful, are supposed to be the most powerful. But our Congress, the Republicans, have gone into kind of fetal position, inert mode, and they allow Obama to run amok, and they don't do anything about it.
Sure, so what do you make of her alt speech? Because I'm selfish. I want to know, what do you make of her coming out misrepresenting what I said, what others said, saying shut down Breitbart? I mean, this is getting creepy.
I think what Hillary is trying to do is go to the old playbook, which is to hit the Republicans and the right with the accusation of bigotry. By the way, I kind of anticipated this, and in the movie, in Hillary's America, the book and the movie, we turn the tables on this woman, and we show, wait a minute, first of all, Trump has nothing to do with the Ku Klux Klan or white supremacists. You may find 5 toothless guys in a trailer and say they endorse Trump, but the truth of it is you are the party of bigotry.
Well, that was my next question, and that information's getting out. And I want to talk about the film. Still in theaters, like here in Austin, huge success. Let's spend a few minutes on the film itself, because it seems like Hillary is in panic mode. You've already been thrown in prison by these people. Should I be concerned?
Well, the film has been re-released in 400 theaters. That by itself is very unusual. It's been re-released because the theaters feel that there's a demand for the film and that politics is heating up, and so the film is actually going to have a good second run in the theater.
Exactly. I wondered why it was top 10 in history for documentaries, and then now it's suddenly back in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, let's put these things a little bit in perspective. When you mentioned earlier guys like Cenk at the Young Turks saying, oh, the film is a flop, Dinesh is a flop, he has no followers. Well, the truth of it is now that we have totally eclipsed Michael Moore as the leading documentary filmmaker.
That's right. His films are now flops. Yours are all mega hits.
No, historically, he still is the big fish. I mean, if you made a list of the top 10 political documentaries of all time, he has 5, but he's made 20 films. I have 3, but I've made 3 films.
That's what I'm saying. Clearly now, he's the past, you're the future.
Well, his last film, which came out, I believe, about a year ago, made $1 in its entire theatrical run. We made more than that in our first weekend.
That's right, and your Skype cut out. How much did because I saw it in Variety that it was a flop and that yours was hugely successful. I think it was like the number 6 or so overall all time. How much did his make?
So Michael Moore's film made $3.8 million in its entire theatrical run. We made $4 million in our first weekend. The film is currently over $13 million, and it will obviously do even better. And then it's going to do really well in DVD. The book is 7 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list.
And this is important for folks that are out there and already awake. You're like, yeah, why do I care? I know Hillary's evil. Your neighbor doesn't get it yet. They're starting to get it. And this is a culture war. And the fact that Christian films and conservative films and libertarian films and hardcore films that are made by people that have been persecuted are winning at the box office is an indicator that we're winning the culture war.
Yes, and people don't realize that it's important to see a film in the theater. That's a way to put fuel in our rocket to help the film get disseminated even more widely.
On TV, on cable, on DVD, it decides everything.
It decides that even the DVD distribution, whether it's Walmart and Target and Sam's Club, all that is affected by how the film does in the box office. So don't wait for it to come out in DVD later. That's when you can circulate it to your...
He said that I say 9/11 is an inside job. No, what I said was the Saudi Arabians, the globalists, are basically funding radical jihad. They're letting these attacks take place. They're using that to take our rights. That was in the news at the time. They then translate that over that I'm saying George Bush had a plunger like Wile E. Coyote blowing the building up. Or I talk about Oklahoma City. Clearly the Clintons were involved. Elohim City, Southern Poverty Law Center. I interviewed the cops that were involved. It was in the newspaper. Lawsuits have been won. I mean, it's crazy. Then they say I say nobody died at Sandy Hook. No, that's not what I said. I hosted debates where people talked about the fact that Anderson Cooper had a blue screen and all this other craziness. But the point is, she then says I have this dark heart and such a horrible person. And then she goes on to indict the, quote, new right, basically saying shut it down. Here's a clip.
For a second.
Of Hillary Clinton.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones, who claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs. He even said And this really just is so disgusting. He even said the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre were child actors, and no one was actually killed there. I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that. But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said, "Your reputation is amazing. I will not let you down." This from the man who wants to be president of the United States.
Now, expanding on this, they also have this new thing that was saying for 4 years, but it's back in the news, that I say that the tornado 4 years ago that hit Oklahoma City was sent by Obama. A caller called and said, I think it's weather weapons. I think they did it. And I said, no, I think it's a real tornado, but there have been some weather weapons used in Vietnam and stuff. What about this new level, Dinesh D'Souza, of lying where they misrepresent what we say or what we do? I mean, I have MSNBC saying, quote, Alex Jones doesn't like Obamacare because he's deeply racist, but then they don't show where I say something racist. I mean, it seems like there's a new level of lying. We have Hillary saying that Trump shouldn't criticize the Federal Reserve. It should be off limits. Another quote, Clinton campaign warns media, tread carefully on health, the Hill. I mean, the way she lectures everyone like she's already a dictator. What do you make of the lying and the dictatorial nature, Dinesh D'Souza?
Well, 4 years ago, when I made the movie on Obama, attacks on me, vituperative attacks, began to appear unsigned, but they were on a website called barackobama.com. And I took this as an incredible compliment to be attacked directly and by name by the thin-skinned narcissist who's currently in the White House. So for you, Alex, I think this is a sign that you've arrived. When you have the Democratic presidential candidate attacking you by name, you got to think that your mom never expected that when you were a kid. So you've reached a certain status now, and it means that you're a threat. Look, I think Trump is a threat. And the reason that they're scared of Trump is he doesn't play by the old rules. What other Republican would have gone to the inner city and challenged the Democrats for the black vote? What other Republican would have talked about urban plantations, pointed the finger at Hillary?
He's literally reading right from your historical script. I mean, I'm sure you're honored as well.
He totally is, and there's a lot more there. So I actually hope that this guy will take DVDs of this film and send them to swing voters around the country.
That's a great idea.
5 million swing voters in 9 states.
That's a great idea. I mean, if listeners got the DVD, or if you did a deal with Trump at cost to just bomb the swing states with this film, it could turn the tide. What about him going to Louisiana when Clinton and Obama are going to Mexico? I mean, this guy is so presidential in my view. Because, look, I was a little trepid a year and a half ago supporting him. But, man, now I'm really behind him. He really is really amazing.
Well, the very fact that Trump has a certain kind of bravery that I have actually not seen in 30 years. Even Reagan was a little uncertain about taking on the inner city. Trump has done it full-fledged.
He does. So he has bravery.
You can expect the media attack on him to be unrelenting. And that's because he poses a threat to this whole system, this whole encrusted, corrupt system.
He's literally showing up saying, you're on a plantation. I promise that I will cut the taxes in your area. And a lot of folks can say, well, that's almost discriminatory. No, it's not. It's real affirmative action to say, you have been screwed over. We're going to have tax incentives, and I'm going to tell companies, come to your neighborhood and hire you. I mean, that is incredible. He's not saying, I'm going to give you a barely livable wage and run your life. He says, I'm going to really try to get off your back.
He's getting to what liberals have always called the root cause. You know, conservatives will talk about the cops and how cops have an impossible and difficult job, and they do. But the reason that they have a difficult job is because the urban plantations created and maintained by the Liberal Democratic Party, these plantations are because life in those places is unlivable. And so Trump has gone right at the heart of it. And that's where the moral indictment of the Democratic Party is the most forceful and the most telling, because there are resemblances between the old slave plantations and these new urban
And what about when he said, I'm going to model myself after Lincoln? That has got to make the Democrats, the true party of the Klan, pull their hair out when he talks about a new Reconstruction, which had its horrible problems. I mean, that has got to freak them out, Dinesh. Dinesh D'Souza's Skype is cut out for a moment. We'll see if it comes back here. We're going to get him back up in the near future. But absolutely, InfoWars arrived a long time ago. But the power structure is pulling its hair out. It's absolutely freaking out. And again, if you want to get technical, folks, my whole family from the time of Texas independence was Southern. I had a lot of family that was Southern from Virginia and stuff. since the colonies. But I had a lot of family from New York on my mom's side that came down as Christian missionaries and helped start the Texas Revolution. I think Dinesh may be gone, but that's okay. We got a lot coming up after this segment. And so I had family, folks, that were high level, okay, you know, obviously in the Confederacy and stuff. But I can tell you, it was a fraud. It was wrong. We got conned into that war. The globalists want a new civil war, and we need to come together as Americans. And that's what's so beautiful about Donald Trump. Dinesh, we only got 2 minutes left. Your Skype's back. I'm really concerned about how Soros is going to strike back. Black Lives Matter, civil war. They've done it in other countries. How do you expect? I think Hillary's a cornered rat. I think the tide's turned against her. Tell me if I'm wrong. In 2 minutes, what do we expect them to do? What should we be bracing for, Dinesh D'Souza?
Well, I think with Hillary, she will pull out all the stops. The degree of viciousness of this campaign is likely to escalate. And the attacks on Trump, there will be nothing that is sacred, nothing that is taboo. Now, Trump, I think it's still Trump's election to lose, believe it or not, just like it was Romney's election to lose 4 years ago. I think the most important thing that Trump can do is to signal to the American people that he's an independent, he's an outsider, he speaks his mind, but he's not crazy. In other words, this is not an indictment of Trump. Reagan had to do the same thing in 1980. People said he's a cowboy, he'll blow up the world. Reagan had to say, come on, guys, I'm not going to do that. So it's important for Trump to do that. The second thing, which he's already doing, is taking the battle to Hillary. I think our film and book can be an asset in helping him to do that. So I wish that he gets even more behind it than he has already.
HillariesAmerica.com, back in theaters, 400 screens, DVDs soon. Take your friends, take your family. Yes, I know you're already awake. Yes, I know you may have already seen it. It doesn't matter. We've got to deprogram these people. And if you give a liberal a little bit of attention and actually show them what's happened, they will wake up in many cases. Dinesh, thanks for coming on. Anytime you want to come on.
Just a small correction, Hillary's America, the movie.com.
That's right, Hillary's America, the movie.com. I'm teleprompter free, so I mess up a lot. Hillary's America, the movie.com.
That's it.
Dinesh, please come back sooner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to go to break. This is an epic time to be alive. I keep using the word epic because it is epic. It's historic, it's big, it's massive, and films like this can turn the tide. Also, supporting this broadcast, sending out videos, sending out the articles, sending out the links, sending out the podcast. It's a war. Also, buying products at InfoWarsStore.com. The network's funded by sponsors, and our local stations are, so support them. We are mainly supported by the products we sell. We're selling Hillary for President shirts for $9.95, shipping including. That doesn't support us. That just gets the word out. But get your shirts. I'm going to stop the special next week, $9.95, running it through the weekend in the middle of next week. The shirts are about to sell out. We've got the preparedness special, 30 to 40% off, the super high quality, fresh, 25-year shelf life storable foods at InfoWarsStore.com. We have got 20% off Survival Shield Nation Iodine X Tube. We've got 20% off on the Vitamin Mineral Fusion Fruit Punch Multivitamin. We have got a lot of other stuff. You need this stuff. You need heirloom seeds. We got great selections at the lowest prices in many cases, or very competitive. I mean, it's a win-win. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. I don't get paid to have Dinesh D'Souza on and promote his film. I don't get money for that. I'm promoting it because it's all information warfare. It's truth. Truth is our weapon. All right, we got the panel coming in to break down the speech, Trump clips, special reports, and a lot more. Stay with us. Leanne McAdoo coming in.
We're on the...
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I am Leanne McAdoo, taking over the reins, joined by the white male, Owen Schroyer. And we are going to go over this commander-in-chief forum last night, as well as Hillary Clinton's press conference that she held today, which was, of course, tightly handled as per usual. So all of her softball questions lobbied to her by the obsequious press. Anthony Gucciardi is going to be coming up in the 4th hour as well. We'll kind of be holding over. We got a lot of clips that we want to get to here. So kind of just piggybacking on that video that we just watched, just coming in, the gun grabbing, the come and take it. She doubled down on that last night at the Commander-in-Chief Forum. Gun control is going to be part of her fight against terrorism here on U.S. soil. She was talking about the necessity of an intelligence surge, just basically making the case that we need to be able to vet people coming in this country. She was kind of underscoring that there, and that's what people are saying is we have to be able to vet these people coming in. And she just kind of agreed with that. And then, of course, saying that here at home, for goodness sakes, we have to finally pass a law prohibiting people on the terrorist watch list from being able to buy a gun in the U.S., which I'm pretty sure that already exists.
Well,
So
it's the problem, reaction, solution that the globalists love to run on this country. But isn't it funny how she talks about problems with how we're handling terrorism or problems, all these problems in government? She's been in the government.
Right.
So how is she sitting here like, I'll be the one with the solutions. I'm the one to bring solutions, pointing out all these problems that exist in government when she's the one that's been there.
Right. I'm going to be the one that's going to bring in hundreds of thousands of these refugees that we cannot vet, and just, you know, just let the American public know that this is a new reality that we're going to be living in, that those attacks that we're starting to see happening multiple times every month pretty much now in Europe and other places, that's going to be the reality here in the U.S. So this is what Hillary Clinton is promising us as president, that she's going to take care of it by taking away your guns so that you do not have the opportunity to protect yourself and your family. And meanwhile, we've already reported on the fact that the drug cartels are helping jihadis there in Mexico, helping them get across the border, as well as supplying them with weapons. They actually traced one of the weapons used in the Paris attack to Operation Fast and Furious. So, I mean, come on. It's a total joke, but she doesn't want us to be able to protect ourselves. Hillary Clinton is going to take care of us.
Well, I think Donald Trump was right when he said that Hillary Clinton will be the next Angela Merkel for America. And if you look at what has happened in the Merkel regime in Germany, you certainly don't want that to happen here in America, especially when you're talking about terrorism attacks. So Hillary Clinton is going to try to groom the American public into this sort of, I don't know, getting used to, or terrorist attacks being passé, like, oh, you know, just expect this when I become president. How about no? How about we don't expect that? But that's what she wants. She wants to groom the public to be like, oh, this is just standard now. It's not Hillary's fault. This is just standard 21st century living. We're not buying that. No, no, no.
I destabilized the Middle East and caused all the mayhem there, but now you can trust me to fix it. I'm sorry I created the refugee